Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Today, I'm excited about introducing you to my esteemed guest, Dr. Cali Estes. Dr. Estes is a highly sought after addiction, recovery, performance, and wellness coach. She uses her skills in talk therapy to assist clients in unlocking their true potential. Dr. Estes has been featured in books, magazines, radio, and television for her work in drug addiction and transformational coaching. She is a 5-time #1 best-selling author and founder of the largest addiction and mental health education school online. Dr. Cali Estes was named the female Dr. Drew, as well as someone who the Huffington Post has recognized as the 99 limit-breaking disruptor females. Although you may not have a problem with addiction or mental health right now, I encourage you to listen to this information so that you're able to help others. Welcome to the show, Dr. Estes. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Holmes. I'm glad to be here.
So I want to start out by asking you, can you briefly tell the audience how you developed this passion for addressing the complicated issue of drug addiction and mental health?
So it kind of started in a very strange way. I was going to school for my bachelor's degree. I wanted to be an FBI agent. And Thursday night was ladies' night, and all the college girls would go out and they would always find a boyfriend or hook up, and I always came home alone. And one night I was sitting on the floor and I was very depressed and I was eating cake with my hands because growing up, when you were stressed out, you ate cake. When there was something to talk about, all the women would get together, they would have cake, they would have coffee, a decision would be made. So cake was the answer to every problem you had growing up. And I'm on the floor and I'm eating cake and there's cake on me, cake on the dog, cake on the wall. And my roommate walks in and she goes, "You need therapy. That's not normal." And I went, for the first time in my life, how is that not normal? That's what we did in my household. So I went to a counselor and she basically said, you don't have an eating disorder back then because you're not bulimic, you're not anorexic, you're just overeating. So you're probably just fat. And she sent me to the fat doctor who put me on fen-phen. Well, fen-phen, if you remember, got recalled because it was causing heart disease, heart problems. And I morphed into Ripfuel, which is Mahawang, which is like an asthma pump, Guarana, which is straight caffeine, and ephedra, which is basically the main ingredient in methamphetamine. So now I'm using this. I'm down to 90 pounds, and I ended up having heart palpitations, and I went to the ER. Doctor said, "You're going to kill yourself." I said, you don't know what you're talking about. Of course, you're 20, 22, 21. You're like, yeah, you know everything. Second heart palpitation, second ER doctor 6 months later, and he said, "You're an addict. You've got a problem." And I went, "That's a new word. What does that mean?" And he hands me a pamphlet for NA and a pamphlet for OA. So OA is Overeaters Anonymous. I went and I'm like, I don't understand this. And I went to NA and I thought, oh, they have caffeine, coffee, they have sugar, and they have cigarettes, my 3 favorite things. And I quickly got right back into the saddle of this until I was able to break it. And I broke it in a yoga room with a friend of mine who said, "You are an addict." And I kept saying, "No, this is ridiculous. The doctor prescribed this medication. And, I have this problem." Long story short, I took a class on addictionology. And here I am sitting in class and everything the professor's giving us, I'm going, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. And I went, oh, wow, I am an addict. So when I realized that, I thought, I want to see what I can do with this. I want to see if I understand this. And I did my internship at SCI Rockview, which is a male prison, because I wanted to be FBI. But my mentor was drug and alcohol. So he taught me body language and how to work with people. And I had this really deep connection to people that have a problem with substances or food or whatever it is. And I really started to help them. And I thought, wow, this is really rewarding work. So that's how it started for me. It wasn't like I woke up and went, I'm going to, my parents are addicts, I'm going to figure it out. It was sort of like, oh, wow, I kind of fell into it, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. That's interesting. So when we first met, you told me that you were a Christian. So I was interested to know that how your theology plays into overcoming drug addiction? How does that inform how you treat patients?
So first and foremost, you have to realize that everything in front of you is a distraction. So whether it's food or drugs or alcohol, it's a distraction from finding who you are and finding your higher power. When you can do that, those things are just noise. So if you have a deep connection to your higher power and a deep understanding, all of the things coming by, the food, the drugs, the porn, all of that is just noise to distract you from your true purpose and your connection to God. So you have to think of it that way. When you do that, you realize that issue, that drug, that alcohol, the porn, the video, all of that isn't your problem. It's the distraction to your problem. What is your problem? Your problem is probably lack of connection, lack of spirituality, lack of connecting to other fellow humans, and of course, your higher power. And when you make that shift, all that noise goes away. And that's how I work with clients.
Interesting. So you have a personal story that you can really connect with those who you're treating because you've been there,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of different than most therapists. But anyway, so addiction is growing in this country. So why do you suppose that it's at this crisis point? And what is it that so many more people, and it's growing year by year. So what is it about our culture that has such an impact or that causes people to become more addicted?
We are an impulse control culture. I want it now. Think of it this way. 10, 15 years ago, if you wanted groceries, you had to get in your car and drive to the grocery store and pick out your items and bring them home. Now you can sit on your phone in bed the night before and go to Instacart and pick everything you want, wake up in the morning and they're delivered. You've learned if I want it, I can get it. There's no work to be done. If I want something from Target, I can go online and have it shipped overnight. If I want something from Amazon, I can do that. So we're in this culture where we don't stop and go, wait a minute, do I need that? Is that for my highest good? No, I want that. And we've lost the I want versus I need. And then we've also lost the human connection. Think about it. If you go to church, you only see the people once a week, don't you? When you go on Sunday. That's it. Are you having coffee during the week? No. Are you seeing each other's kids during the week? No. Back in the 50s, we didn't have phones and technology, so the women got together and what did they do? They had Bible study, they had groups, they had coffee clatches, they crocheted together, they did ceramics together. We don't do any of that. We are an impulse-led society where everything is, I want it now and I don't want to deal with other humans, so we're losing that connection. Without that connection, it's very easy to sit at home, shop on Amazon, and have a glass of wine. Then you've had 2, then you've had 3, then it's midnight, you don't know where your kids are. Because you have now kind of gone down that rabbit hole instead of spending time, quality time with your family and other families. And if we did more of that and less of the phones and the internet, there would be less addiction because you have that connection. And you have people pulling you up saying, hey, are you okay? Do you need extra help? We don't have that.
Wow, that's fascinating that you said that because it means to me we're becoming even more much less relational, and the more that increases, then the more we can expect drug addiction to increase. So
Right.
that's really amazing. So having said that, you addressed the problem. So what are some of the red flags that people need to look for? You said that you were addicted and you didn't even realize that you were. The whole thing about addiction is the denial of it.
Mm-hmm.
So how does one recognize or have an epiphany about that, or how can they recognize it in someone else and perhaps maybe tell them these are the signs, and you checked all of these these
Right.
items off the list.
The first one is real simple. Can you stop? So let's do something very general that's not a hot button topic. Let's talk about sugar, right? So if I said, could you go a week without sugar? Most people will go, yeah, no problem. Okay. Then what happens? You get your coffee, you go to put your sugar in, you go, okay, I can't have that. So I'll put in half and half. Well, half and half has milk sugar in it. So now you're going, well, what do I put in my coffee? It starts with, if you can't let it go for a week, you probably have a problem. And that can be anything. So that's the first one. The second one is isolation. If you find you or a loved one is locked in the bathroom on their phone, playing a video game or checking, Pornhub or doing something like that, that's a problem. Also, if you're not going to work, I have a client that has an addiction to selfies. She lost her job because all she does all day is get dressed up, put the light ring in, take these selfies. And, she has horrible body dysmorphia. She's beautiful, but she doesn't see that. So if you're losing your job, if you're losing relationships, which is the third one, if your wife or husband or partner says to you, I want a divorce, or you're not spending any time with the family, there's another problem. If you're on your phone like this, more than you're having conversations, that's another red flag. So you have all these things. If you're sneaking alcohol in the bathroom, maybe in between, you're watching the movie with the family on Netflix, but you run to the bathroom and do a little shooter bottle of alcohol, that's a problem. If you're hiding things, I have a young lady with a shopping problem, and she comes in the garage and hides her stuff that she doesn't need, so her husband can't see it, in the garage, in his toolbox, and then he goes to work and she pulls it out and brings it in and mixes it in with the laundry. Those things, if you're hiding them, there's a problem. So if you can't stop and it's taking over your life, that's when you need to get help.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, okay, so with adults, they can kind of figure that out, I guess, to a certain degree, or someone noticing it. But what about with kids? When you were talking about always on the phone and always, just this uh, the habit of always picking up the phone and texting and that kind of thing. How do parents? What are some of the warning signs for parents to notice in their kids that they have an addiction?
So one of the new things the kids are doing is they're sleeping on FaceTime. So they're calling their friends, and there's a group of them, 3, 4, 5, and they can all see each other, and they go to sleep with the phone next to their head. So the phone is on, they have the Wi-Fi signal next to their head, and then they can talk. So if one wakes up, they can go, hey, is anybody up? And they wake each other up and they continue to talk. So they're not getting good quality sleep, which is why we're seeing kids dropping out of high school. Grades are going down. We're putting them on Adderall to keep them focused. So turn the Wi-Fi off at night. When you go to bed, turn it off. Turn their phones off. Take their phones and say, we are having a Wi-Fi free night. And if they are freaking out on you, they're addicted to their phone. Dinner time, when we have family dinner, all the phones go on the table upside down like this, and they sit there. If we go to a restaurant, same thing, because there should be quality time. And if there's not, if they're constantly reaching for that phone, you have someone that's addicted to it. And the kids these days, they don't talk. They use their phone for everything but a phone call. Texting, gaming, and we do too, right? We check the bank account, we use the GPS, we use, if we're lost, we can use the compass if we need it. Everything is on that phone. 9 times out of 10, we don't use it to make a phone call. And I'm using it right now for the video. So we've utilized it for everything, to the point where when we lose it, we go, oh, I lost my phone. And we panic because everything we have is in that phone.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So we're going to pivot here a little bit. So you recently wrote a book titled "I Married a Junkie Till Death Do Us Part." Why did you write this book, and who did you write this book for?
So this is the second book in the I Married a Junkie series. The first one was 2018 with my late husband, and it was about him and his drug addiction and how he found God. He got baptized and he kicked the drug habit and was doing great. And then subsequently over the years relapsed a couple times, and he ended up in the hospital with a Hippocratic artery burst right after COVID. And he was in the ICU, and 1% of the people survived this. So he survived. And we were working on this book when he passed away of a heart attack. And it was long-term, thank you, long-term drug use of the body. So it was, for so long, he was using so many drugs that his body deteriorated and just gave out. So the book is for spouses or anybody that's dealing with an addicted loved one. Some of the stories are funny. Some of the stories are heartbreaking. There's short little sections that go back and forth, but it's designed to see what it's like being the partner of an addict. because there's a lot of books for parents who lose a child, and there's a lot of groups for parents who lose a child. There's really not much for the partner. So this is more for them.
I see. Okay. So you have this phrase that you use. It's called sober on demand. Can you explain what that means?
So Sober on Demand is a service. We bring the entire treatment to you, to your home, your office, your tour bus, your movie set, wherever you are. And it's designed as a very private way for you to get sober in your living environment. We bring the doctor, the nurse for detox, the sober companion, the therapist. If you want yoga, if you want a shaman, we have that too. We're very non-denominational in that way. So we can bring anything you want. Christian coaching we have sex addiction, we have shopping addiction, drug and alcohol, and we come to you and we work in your environment with the goal being that you get sober in your environment as opposed to going away for some, 30 days and then coming back because the stressors you have are still there. We want to tackle them with you and get through them with you so that when we leave, you've got a blueprint of how to live your life in that environment.
Oh, that's interesting. And it's a team approach.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So one other thing you talked about sugar, but you also mentioned that sugar is the gateway to all kinds of addictions. So why do you say that? And perhaps maybe somebody right now may not be addicted to sugar, but should we watch our sugar intake? What is it about sugar that is sort of the gateway?
So sugar is almost the same chemical makeup of heroin. And when I say that, people go, what? Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're using sugar, let's say you get up, you put sugar in your coffee, you have a donut or a bagel or a muffin. At lunch, you have some bread. Maybe you have a sandwich. For dinner, you have pizza. And you say, well, I don't eat sugar. Bread turns to sugar. Wine turns to sugar. Beer basically is bread, which turns to sugar. So all of these things turn to sugar. A white potato turns to sugar in the body. So your body gets addicted to these sugars and your insulin will spike and ebb depending on what you have. And when you stop doing sugar cold turkey, you detox like heroin. So you have a headache. You feel foggy. You feel nauseous. You feel cranky. Your body aches from head to toe, just like heroin. But sugar pings the brain like cocaine. So it gives you that rush, right? You feel amazing. I had a donut. I feel good. I'm excited. Life's amazing. And then an hour later, you crash. So sugar is very similar to those two drugs, and people don't realize it until they try to come off of it. And then they say, wow, it's really hard. And it was harder for me to let go of the sugar than it was the speed and the diet pills because the sugar was rough. It was there. It was in everything. And when you're driving by the gas station, you stop to get gas, you go in, what is there? Sugar everywhere. Candy, cake, snacks, everything is fast, right? Fast food is full of sugar. I challenge my clients to go to the grocery store and I tell them around the outside of the grocery store is food. Up and down the aisles is food like product. Go look at the spaghetti sauce. Tell me how much sugar is in it. Go look at your yogurt, not natural sugar, but go look at Yoplait versus Chobani. All natural, non-flavored. Yoplait has like 16 grams of sugar in this much yogurt. That's 4 teaspoons. That's half of what you're eating. Versus Chobani, which has 0. Now, they don't taste the same. If you taste Yoplait and you taste Chobani, Chobani tastes like sour cream. And people say, oh, this is gross. But that's what yogurt tastes like. This yogurt isn't real yogurt. It's how we've kind of evolved in our society. Sugar's in everything. I see it as the gateway because if you're already addicted to that, your body's craving substances. Now you're saying, okay, what else is there? Well, there's alcohol. It's legal. That's easy. And it turns to sugar. Then you have people that say, well, there's marijuana. Of course, that's there too. It's legal in some states. So you have 3 legal drugs and people say, well, they're legal, but they're still addicting. So if you want to see if you're addicted to sugar, try to quit it for a week. If you start feeling awful, your body's detoxing from
Wow. So you have to hit this whole addiction thing on so many different dimensions in terms of when you're dealing with clients is what they eat. It's everything they're putting in their body. Yeah. That's interesting. Wow. Very interesting. So if someone wanted to take, so the difference between the whole team approach going to a person's home, workplace, or whatever environment they're in, as opposed to the online courses, can you explain, the difference and the effectiveness of each type of modality that you're using in order to treat clients?
Sure. So we also do online coaching one-on-one like this. And then we're creating a coaching program that's on demand with a monthly subscription, which is very inexpensive. It's going to be $5 a month, and they can see videos and they can join chat rooms and be included with people. So we're trying to make the connection established. So we have that available, and that's the Addiction Coach Online. And then we also have the Addictions Academy, which is for people who want to become coaches. We have a whole Christian section where they can become a Christian addiction coach, a Christian sex addiction coach. We have the secular side as well. So we have 45 different classes in 40 countries. So if they want to help other people, they can become certified to then offer assistance and help as well.
Wow, wow. So let me ask you, if someone is interested in one of your courses, reading your book, or to learn more about you, what's the best way to reach you and find out about you?
So CaliEstes.com is my main website. I also have SoberOnDemand.com and theaddictionsacademy.com. So they can reach me there, or the addictioncoachonline.com. And I'm all over social media as Dr. Cali Estes. So they can reach out for help. They can reach out if they have questions. We're very friendly. We like to answer everybody. No question is a stupid question. We're here to help. And if we can't help you, we will point you in the right direction. We'll give you resources to go somewhere. We're just not going to say, well, I'm sorry, we can't help you. So we do encourage everyone to reach out. We'll definitely figure out what you need and help you the best we can.
That's great. And so you spell your name Caliestes, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so that they know that. Well, I really appreciate all the information that you gave. I think it's valuable information, and I think that someone would be able to use it. That's for sure. And I thank you so much for taking the time to stopping by to spend some time with us and our audience.
Thank you. And thanks for having me.